On April 23, 2024, the game Tales of Kenzera Zao released on Steam. As of recording, the game achieved an all-time peak player count of 287, with only 9 players currently playing the game right now. This according to data on SteamDB. Well, mere months after releasing Zao and after underwhelming sales, the company behind the game, Surgeon Studios, announced that they would be laying off many employees. Now, we did talk about this news almost a month ago, but there's actually much more to this situation. As before the layoffs occurred, the founder of Surgeon Studios made a rather inflammatory public statement to gamers at large. In just a moment, we'll play a part of his video and discuss what he had to say about gamers, and how it likely only hurt his sales even more. However, first, we've got a brief message from an amazing sponsor. From the legendary Nexon Games and Yostar, today's sponsor is the one and only Blue Archive. And if you don't know, Blue Archive is a highly popular anime-style mobile RPG where players take on the role of Sensei, an advisor to the Federal Investigation Club Soleil in a huge academy city. And as Sensei, you'll resolve endless incidents that occur in the city with charming allies who are full of exquisite personality. Gameplay includes 3D real-time battles with detailed animations, skill cutscenes, and a variety of cute characters, as well as an unpredictable main story about the various girls' friendships, love, and thrilling military adventures. There's also a variety of new content coming soon to Blue Archive, including dress variants for Akko and Hina, as well as a new event story centered around Hina. And if you jump in as a new player, this is also a great time to get started, as you can get 100 free recruitments simply by logging in up until July 30th. So thank you Blue Archive for sponsoring this video, and you can enjoy the game too by clicking the link in the pinned comment or the one in the description. We left off talking about the extremely low sales of Zao and the layoffs at Surgeon Studios that were announced on July 2nd, 2024. And in just a moment, we'll play a part of the statement issued by Surgeon Studios founder Salim back on May 31st. In other words, 1 month before the layoff announcement. But you'll also need to know this context, because Zao received criticism for simply not being a great game, some even saying that it did have a good story and aesthetic, but very bare-bones gameplay with frustrating controls. On top of that, it was brought to public attention that Surgeon Studios had also apparently hired SBI for consulting. This caused many gamers to take a firm stance against purchasing the game, even if they otherwise would have been interested in it. However, Salim seems to blame Zao's downfall on something else entirely, not admitting that the game could have been better or that their budget should have been used more wisely, but instead that gamers themselves are the problem, and the reason that his game failed.
We are being faced with constant targeted harassment from people who see diversity as a threat, and from people who look across the vast landscape of modern media and decide that anything that doesn't speak to them or centers around them is unnecessary and inauthentic. And look, there's always a reason why diverse stories can't exist.
It's rather odd that he's referring to Zao as a diverse game, when objectively speaking, it's not one. Furthermore, as mentioned, the majority of negative reception for this game seems to be people simply pointing out issues with the gameplay, lack of marketing, and wasted budget on consultation that didn't seem to actually end up assisting the game at all. Based on the evidence, it seems likely that the game was mismanaged in some ways because of these various issues. However, he doesn't address that. Instead, it's all the fault of problematic gamers.
So look, if there are people who aren't like you in a game, I want you to know that that game is still for you. If the characters are a different race or a different gender, it can still be for you.
He doesn't need to lecture gamers about that though, because it's something that we're already fine with. I mean, it's well known that many gamers love playing as characters of the opposite gender. It's common to see men enjoy playing as women in games, and women who enjoy playing as men in games. Just to name a few out of many, games like Bayonetta, Nier, and Stellar Blade have proven this, on top of various RPG games where players can customize their character and often decide to play as the opposite gender or a different race. You could also take gacha games as another example, where players very often enjoy collecting characters of the opposite gender and playing as them.
And that's why I insisted on setting Zao's cost at the price of pizza. So, look, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. So starting today on Switch, shout out to Nintendo for acting fast on this, I'm lowering that bar of entry further by dropping the price of Zao to less than $15, because, it just means so much to me, man.
Looking back on this price decrease claim after the layoff news, it comes off as rather disingenuous. He's framing the lowered price as his own generosity, but we now know that the company was at risk, likely because of low sales. On top of that, the price was lowered shortly before the Steam Summer Sale, where it likely would have been discounted anyways. Plus, he's flaunting the base price of $19.99, saying that he wanted to make it as low as a pizza or something. But many indie games that offer more have been priced for less, so is that really a good point? Ultimately, in my opinion, there's something about him that does come off as likable with the way that he speaks. But when you actually break down what he says, there's so many questionable claims there, and that's putting it nicely. Of course, form your own opinion on his statement, and remember that I didn't play the whole thing, only what I found to be the key points. Also, he ends the video by addressing other devs, so I'm not going to include that part. I'd like to focus on what he said about Zao specifically. And as previously stated, it seems that he's tried to put all the blame on gamers for Zao's underwhelming sales. Hopefully, if Sturgeon Studio sticks around in the future, he'll be able to learn from past mistakes and improve on their next title. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this segment, and if you did, consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.